So you've just set up the gold standard treatment system for all your common conditions in your clinic. You're proud of the journey you've created and the outcomes it will generate for people. Then when you create your scoreboard to tell you how well you are doing compared with your gold standard and you suck, your results are average. Some of your team are better than you. Some of your team are even worse than you. Everything is all over the shop. Your ego can take a real hit with this. You start to realize who you thought was a great physio isn't at all. You realize your junior physios are better than you thought, or some of them, and everything in between. Creating the performance scoreboard can give you a real fright. But what gets measured, gets managed, and gets better. The scoreboard is your clinic business cockpit. Imagine you're flying a plane without a cockpit. It's not going to end well. So why would you run a business without your cockpit? It shows you how well in real time you're delivering your gold standard journey. It's about accountability. It's about continuous improvement, getting 1% better every day, compounding over time. The training and hard work you put in with your team will show up on the scoreboard, but it's going to happen over weeks, not days. You need to trust the training of your initial consult, and you need to trust the training of your gold standard treatment systems. But once you see the scores leveling out between your team members, something magic happens. You don't have holes in your diary. New patients consistently get shared around amongst all the physios, not just the one person with a shitty scoreboard. You can sleep at night and you get rich and take time away from your clinic and do whatever the hell you want. I remember the first time I fleshed out my scoreboard, I always thought of myself as a great physio. So when I saw my score, it wasn't great. How could I not be the best? I'm the boss. And the truth is sometimes we just don't know where the holes in the bucket are. And you're pouring water into a bucket with holes, it just goes everywhere. So that made me fix things immediately. I started booking all my appointments, nailing my initial consult, over-delivering, and immediately it changed the clinic. The diary was better. And once I'd fixed the scoreboard, it was a little bit of pain, but that enabled me to leave, move to another country, and run it remotely. So what's on your scoreboard? What are you actually measuring? Apart from revenue, which is the obvious one, let's break down the key metrics that you should have on your KPI scoreboard or key performance indicators. The first one is treatment plans booked in advance. This is like the backbone of like great diary management. By having treatment plans pre-booked, you ensure that the gold standard diary management is ensured. And things like, let's say, for example, there's an emergency or a patient's sick and has to cancel, the rest of their treatment plans in the diary. So the rest of the treatment plan's locked in. You don't need to stress over trying to get that person back in. So everything just becomes more efficient. Some people really struggle with pre-booking appointments, but honestly, it takes less than 5 minutes and is not a big deal. You may need to coach some of your team around it, and you may need to coach yourself initially, but it's worth it. A lot of senior physios have waiting lists, and so this is very normal. But now just imagine if your whole team was doing this. Can you imagine what the diary would look like? So to track it, you have to do it manually. So you need to get your practice manager or a virtual assistant to click on every new patient every week and see how many new patients had their treatment plan booked in. The second thing is percentage of patients completing their treatment plan. Now, any patient who completes their plan and achieves their goals becomes a massive fan of your business. They're the ones who refer their friends and their family, and that's free marketing. People that come once or twice, I'll be honest with you, they don't give a shit about you. They're more than likely talking about how good the clinic is down the road because they actually listen to them and solve their problem. When diaries are full in advance, the only thing left to do is to hire more legends to grow your revenue and reduce the time that you're at work in the clinic. Now, it's difficult to truly measure the percentage of people that successfully graduate, but the way I've found to make it measurable is actually to make a big deal of the patient graduating. So we used to give a certificate, take a photo with them, and give them a free product like a spiky ball to say thank you. And it was like a real feel-good exercise. The patient was stoked, the physio was stoked. And so what we did is we actually tracked the number of graduations for each physio. And the number of graduations per physio was a competition. And there was a massive prize for the winner each year in the comp. in the clinics. The next thing to measure is patient visit average, or PVA. PVA is the total number of follow-up appointments divided by the number of initial consults. It's a number. The majority of practice software these days should track this for you, and it doesn't really matter if it's not entirely accurate. Some people get quite anal about it, but again, what gets measured gets managed. It gets better when you get better. We tend to track it over the week, the month, the quarter, 6 monthly and annually, and then year on year. And the better the physio, the higher the PVA. Now, this may seem counterintuitive, but over 24 years of data over multiple countries and multiple clinics, I can assure you the higher the PVA, the better the physio. Now, in the dream scenario, your PVA should be similar to the gold standard number of patient treatments that you recommended. And if your PVA is slipping, it's usually due to one of two things. Number one, it's a system issue. So the physio has stopped using the initial consult and gold standard treatment journey. And if this is the case, you need to get back on and start retraining those systems. Or it's a person issue. There could be something at home, something's going wrong, broken up with a partner, or seeing everything. And sometimes it's just simply confidence though. People just lose their mojo. Like, you can have a couple of dud patients that make you feel crappy and you lose your confidence. So that's when I recommend you use your leadership to coach them well. So you coach them into getting their confidence back. And for people that are really struggling, I actually have a hypnosis session that I give to physios that they listen to every day to really pump up their tires. If you want it and you're in Balance Elite, message me and I'll get you a copy. Next is your cancellation rate. In my experience, a cancellation rate under 20% is acceptable. If it's starting to creep higher than that, then that's a sign of a deeper issue with a physio, and that needs to be addressed ASAP. Or you're in the middle of a pandemic, and a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. Let's hope that is anyway. So let's not just go there right now. We're all doing well. Let's just forget I said the pandemic word. Next, we have DNA, did not arrive. Track how many patients weekly miss their appointments without notice, monthly, quarterly. Now, high DNA rate amongst physios is actually a red flag. They should be under 3%. That's pretty normal. If it's above that, if it's above 10, you need to performance manage that physiotherapist because they are ruining your business. I also like to track offers, like what offers are working with your Google ads, your marketing, whether it's $50 off your first consult or a gap-free consult or whatever you are running. We track what offers work over time. And trust me, every single clinic is different. Every location we have is different. Next, we track your retention rate, or how well you retain your patients. Again, it should match your gold standard treatment systems. Now, different clinics will have different retention rates based on the types of patients they see, but the higher the retention rate, the better. In my opinion, anything over 80% is okay. Anything under 80% is a bit of a concern. But the key to this is that all your team should have a very similar retention rate. And if someone's way off, that's where your training goes. Now, again, most software will track your retention rate, and people can get very anal about whether it's perfect. It doesn't really matter. It's a number. If you're getting better, it gets better. So the higher the retention rate, the better you're traveling. So tracking KPIs, I have underneath this video, there is our spreadsheet that we use. It's a game changer. It's all you need. It's a Google Sheet. This helps you track your numbers and see patterns over time. I would recommend you do it yourself for the first 2 to 3 weeks so that you really understand your numbers, and then get your receptionist or a virtual assistant to do it from then on in, and make sure you check their numbers for the first couple of weeks after that so your data is super accurate. To me, my VA sends a report from the Philippines on a Tuesday night, and I wake up on a Wednesday morning with it in my inbox. I go to a cafe, have a breakfast, a cup of coffee, and I make a bit of a morning out of it. I make it fun, because numbers aren't always my favorite thing, but doing it every week, you start to nip things in the bud real quick. And look, if your numbers aren't where they should be, don't panic. It's very normal when you're starting this process. But I promise you, if you put in the work in your training, and that doesn't look like once every few weeks, you need to train hard, then your numbers will improve. But just give them time. There will be a lag, but don't waste 3 years like I did and just train it when the diary's empty. You need to train your systems regularly. Now, in my experience, some physios' performance plummets when you start pushing numbers on them. Like every week you go, oh, look, your numbers are down, your numbers are this and that. Sometimes just because physios are helpers, sometimes that will send them backwards. So if you are noticing that, you got to actually, what I would do is sorry, I'm just going to change that a little bit. If you do notice, I would generally ask my physios whether they are interested in the numbers or whether they feel it affects their confidence. Those that it affects their confidence, I will show them every month just to show them, but I won't do it weekly because that just actually ruins your business. So check in with each physio. Every physio is different and numbers can really affect confidence. And in my experience, there is a direct correlation between coaching someone back to confidence and their KPIs improving. So that's a strategy you would use for those sort of people. And we have a whole module on how to coach your team like a great leader. And if the numbers are dropping with a couple of physios, just meeting them weekly or bi-weekly, just getting their confidence up, running through patients, running through the systems until their numbers start to sneak back up. And look, if there's something happening at home, be a good boss. Don't be an asshole, particularly if their numbers are normally awesome. Just do the right thing. When there is something going on at home, it always does reflect in the numbers. Review the data weekly so you can pick trends happening early, and you start to get a bit of a hunch of something's going on here, and I'm going to meet with this person, figure out what it is. And if you need help figuring out how to outsource to a VA, we have a module on that for you Balance Elite members. And remember, if you execute this scoreboard properly and you track it and you train the shit out of your team with those systems, you are going to have a full diary, and then you're going to need to market and you're going to need to hire more team members because you're crushing it. But please don't go to the marketing module until the following. Number one, your scoreboard, your KPI scoreboard is within 60 to 70% of your gold treatment standards, gold treatment systems. Your entire team are within 15% of each other with their KPIs. You are pre-booking your treatment plans and your team are pre-booking your treatment plans. Then you are ready to coach like a boss, lead like a boss, create a team culture you're super proud of, and market like a boss.